Okay,
Awesome.
kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, the only podcast unofficially sponsored by Duncan Hill's Coffee. I'm Chris Daly, and today I have the pleasure of chatting once again with the incredible Brendon Small. Brendon, how's it going?
It's good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Um, so we didn't do this last time because we were on a different show, but I like to usually start my show with an icebreaker question.
sure.
So I want to ask you, what's the strangest gift you've ever received?
Oh, strangest gift.
I can only imagine you probably received some crazy stuff.
I gotta say, the only gifts I've gotten, it's only been kind of positive and cool. I get so much cool different artwork. Oh, here's a cool gift I've gotten. There's a guy who makes all of these things. These are the Dethklok mugs, and he gave them to
That's
me
so
in
cool.
Philadelphia, and there's one of each character. And I haven't even used them, but they look like they're able to be you can drink out of them and everything. They're really well made. So that's
That's
one of the coolest
awesome.
things. I've gotten a lot of other cool things. I usually I get some kind of art, some kind of fan art, some kind of cool thing that's really personal from someone who has some kind of connection to the show or the characters or anything. And anytime I get that, I always think it's really nice because this means something to them as well as, something that I worked on and made and all that stuff, but it means something I think a lot to them. So that's always exciting for me. The weirdest thing, hmm. It's usually pretty appropriate. It's pretty crazy. There's nothing like with this, as crazy as this show is and as bombastic and as, intense and insane and crass. People are usually pretty polite and really excited to just kind of display something that they've got some kind of emotional connection to, and that's always exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think my strangest gift is probably one of these. Can't even get it on the camera,
Oh,
but
there you go. What
complaint
is this? Like
department.
a hand grenade?
It's a mug, staying on theme with mugs. It's a
Yeah,
hand grenade that says complaint department, please take a number, and the number is the pin.
I get it. I get it.
So that was kind of wild. And switching gears to fun stuff. After my buddy passed away, I got his Duncan Hill's
Oh,
mug. So yeah, I like to keep that
oh,
pretty close by.
that's nice. I'm sorry to
Uh,
hear about your friend.
I appreciate that. He was a big fan too, so he would just be over the moon knowing that I've got to talk to you not once but
Oh,
twice.
that's nice. That's nice.
Um, so to keep things rolling, with the show Fueled by Weird, usually it's the things you're into, your hobbies, your interests, all that stuff make who you are and what fuels your weird. So what is it when you're having some downtime? What kind of things are you into?
It's so funny. It's so funny how much I still like guitar, how much that occupies my free time, how much I'm thinking about it, how much I'm always trying to improve. And with this past year, you know, I knew we were going to go, I knew we were touring and I knew we were going to, there was an idea that we were going to tour again sometime in the spring. So I wanted to make sure I had my hands on a guitar every single day. So I didn't atrophy in any way because I got a lot of stuff going on. When I'm doing one thing, it's the other thing is atrophying. So I'm always trying to keep that plate, that kind of, that lazy Susan just kind of moving. And I'm always trying to pick at each
Yeah.
part of it, from writing to playing guitar to joke writing to all that kind of stuff. But mostly lately it's been guitar, and I've been kind of I don't know if there was a story I posted it at some point, but about a year and a half ago, my guitars got stolen. Somebody broke into my
Oh
studio and
gosh.
robbed my guitars. So I've been slowly kind of replacing guitars, and that's been kind of my hobby. Also, is trying to like take the insurance money and buy some new stuff. And it's the only elixir for having your guitars stolen is replacing them with new ones.
Sure.
So that's something I've been doing is buying some new guitars and having some built, and some friends gave me some, and it's been really cool. So it's just seriously, it's all guitars, it's all movies all the time. It's writing is something I do. I mean, and if I'm not writing, I'm researching writing, and if I'm not actively writing, I'm thinking about writing. So that's what I'm doing all the time. And it turns out that the things that I've chosen to do for a living are also my hobbies. So when I'm not writing or making stuff, I'm usually trying to be inspired by things that are out there. So I'll go to the movies, I'll buy movies. I have like a physical media collection that's pretty big because I consider it like a library of reference,
Yeah.
of things that I can go, all right, can I prove a theory that I have from a movie that exists, and how can I just see how it works and stuff. So I'm always thinking, I'm always thinking about that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking when I talk to artists and everything, like guitar players or musicians who want to do something close to what I'm in the world of doing, I tell them it's our job to work, but it's also our job to be inspired by other people's work. And what inspires me, and what do I'm taking stuff in and I'm putting stuff out all the time. So I'm always trying to like fill the gas tank with cool ideas or great artists from now or from, a long, long time ago to inspire me.
For sure. I mean, they always say, when you're a writer, if you're not writing, you should be reading about writing or just reading because,
Yeah,
you
just read.
like you
Yeah.
said, you have to fill the gas tank. And I would imagine musicians are the same way, not necessarily with reading stuff, but in order to play music, you need to listen to music just so you can get the feel and the appreciation for all the different genres and all the different time periods.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I listen to lots of different genres of music, and sometimes a really great frequency elixir is also just listening to music that has nothing to do with the music that you are playing or
Yeah,
about to play, all that stuff. So I'll listen to things just with completely different frequency ranges, like synthesizers and things like that, or R&B and pop stuff too, just to kind of um, you know, balance out all the mid-range of, extreme metal and stuff.
makes sense. Now,
Yeah.
since we're on this topic, what was it that originally got you interested in music in the first place? Back when you were a kid, what made you decide to pursue it as a career?
Well, I lived in an era. I grew up in the 80s, so we were still kind of in the pre kind of the pre kind of it was still a merit-based music system, and everyone
Sure.
they would make money. The artists would make money by having the best possible kind of pop song hit the charts. So I grew up with the radio, and the radio was just littered with so many great songs all the time. It starts trailing off in the 90s where, bigger companies start buying radio stations and they start telling us what we're going to listen to rather than
Yeah,
choosing. The top 40 was usually the most requested music out there. The music we really had a passion for, something that hit us emotionally. So, so there was so much great music in the 80s. It's so crazy because I'm always revisiting it. It's nostalgic, but it also has a lot of really good technique and songwriting. Anyway, so what got me into guitar, what made me want to play music was I just had my eye on the guitar since I was a little kid. I finally got one when I was 12. I couldn't play it, and then I met a friend when I was about 14, 13, and he showed me everything. So my friend Renzo kicked the door open, but he also taught me about Slayer, Metallica, King Diamond, and then like all the guitar gods like Yngwie, and of course like a deep dive into Eddie Van Halen, Satriani, Steve Vai. Then I'd start to discover John Petrucci, and all kinds of stuff like that. So anyone that ever touched a guitar, I was interested in. Um, Great rock music that just was unique and cool and crazy, or just, he taught me about Blue Oyster Cult. And then, so all that stuff was stuff that I learned when I was like at that really crucial age, that kind of 14, 15, when you're kind of carving out your identity through your own musical choices. And Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard, seriously, that was like, it blew me away. I was blown away by that stuff just because there were so many great songs on the records.
yeah,
And so I always think the song wins out first. And there was just crazy creative songwriting, and it was dangerous sounding and it was scary. Iron Maiden. There was, a lot of darkness and King Diamond's storytelling. All that stuff was really appealing to me. So I was interested in that. I was also interested in horror movies. I was also interested in comedy stuff. I was also interested in like cinematic stuff, but
yeah.
I was just taking a lot of stuff in. And but without my buddy, I don't know if I would have gotten as deep into guitar, as I wanted to, because with my brain, with whatever like ADD, OCD cocktail lives inside of my head, the
Yeah.
guitar really was like a perfect way to kind of quiet everything down and to focus on something, to have all these options of things to focus on, and then to have this guitar with all these problems that you could solve, and then like get a pick in your hand and start like, going crazy on cleaning up your technique or watching instructional videos and stuff. And that was another thing I did was instructional videos. So all that stuff happens around the same age. And I start taking it very, very seriously. And it's this wonderful kind of Rubik's Cube that you can never solve. And that's why the guitar is still great and still in my life. And even if I never played it, and even if I never made records, I'd still probably have a really strong relationship with my guitar.
That's
So
awesome.
that's a big answer to a very small question, is what
No,
got you
that's okay.
excited? But it's that crucial age. And that's kind of like when I was doing Metalocalypse the first time, I was pinpointing me at that age. Like this is
Yeah,
something that kid would really like a lot. And I would bet there are a lot of kids out there like me.
that's awesome. And yeah, that they always say, if there's something that you want that doesn't exist, you should just go and create it yourself because chances are there's going to be someone else out there that wants it. So that's kind of perfect.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I thought. I know that I'm the audience for this show. And a lot of musicians that have their brains are going in a lot of directions, and they like comedy and they like guitar and they like, the whole thing. And so that's what I was thinking about.
Perfect. So we're going to kind of roll into another topic, since we're kind of already on the topic of Dethklok. Last time we spoke, it was just before the release of the Doomstar Requiem. Now that that's out in the world, and
Oh, you mean Army of the Doomstar?
Army of the Doomstar, sorry,
Yeah,
I
yeah, no problem. They all have
shows
Doomstar titles, so
shows
I
how
get
good of
it.
a fan
Yeah,
I am,
yeah,
huh?
that's all right.
Um, so now that that's out in the world, how does it feel having the story out, and kind of tell us what your thoughts are.
Um, it's really funny. It was really nice that I got to kind of complete. It felt like a nice feeling, just as a creative person, to be able to close the lid on something. And this is a story that I knew was the story for over a decade,
Yeah,
and I had to kind of wait for the right time to be able to do it. So I'm happy to have the closure. And then at the same time, I feel like this project, with finishing this is no longer mine. This is everybody else's, and it's theirs to kind of have. It feels nice to have finished it. I'm really proud of it. I worked with a really great team of people all across the board, from artists to compositors to people that helped me with the music side of things, from Sparks and Shadows who helped me with the score and everything. It's really nice to be able to do it. I really am excited about longer form stuff. I'm excited about features. It came at a perfect time. The responses when I was on the road and kind of doing field research and talking to people
yeah,
and meet and greets and all that stuff, and the response has been really nice. Um, it's a tumultuous journey, the story of Dethklok from the character's point of view.
yeah,
And it was nice to be able to land it. I don't know. I guess I don't really know how. The funny thing is, when I'm done with something, I'm really done with something. The fact that I'm touring it and kind of showing people is kind of part of what you have to do when you're
yeah,
finished with something. And it's up to them to kind of like figure out how they feel about it. But I know people have been waiting for this for a long time, and seriously, I felt there's a lot to try to get right as far as concluding it properly.
perfect. And yeah, I
So
just coming from me, I thought it was a fantastic movie. I thought it ended really well. It gave really good closure, and I'm just kind of bummed that it's over. But it was an awesome ride while it was there.
it's really funny in this age that we're in, there's kind of this never-ending uh idea of like must continue forward forever. It's just you have to
Yeah,
keep on giving it to people. But my favorite stories have endings, and they always have. And I think it's really kind of an impactful thing just to say the end at the end
yeah,
of a story and say that is the story,
for
that
sure.
is that is the piece, that is all of it. There's a lot there. You can check it out at any time you want to, but the end is kind of a big thing you don't hear from any storytellers these days.
For sure. I mean, you definitely kind of, as much as you'd like to, do a project forever, eventually it's going to get stale and stagnant and people are going to start to lose interest. So, as much as it might, agree to disagree with people to end it where you want to end it, at least you're ending it where you want to end it on a high note and you're not, I mean, the fact that people are still missing it and are really excited about it says something for the longevity for sure.
Yeah, it's only, in the last 20 or 30 years, like The Simpsons has been on 30 something years
Forever.
now. And there's
Yeah.
still, I mean, there's such a I mean, this South Park has been on for over 20 years. There's so many shows that are still good, that still work, but
Yeah,
that wasn't something that I experienced when I was a kid. When I was a kid, they would do X amount of seasons and then say goodbye and take a
yep,
bow and say, okay, it's time to leave the stage and um, it's time for the next thing to happen. A new piece of creative thing with new characters and a new world. And I
yep.
think people are still holding on to old characters and old things. And I get it. I do that too. I rewatch the same movies over and over again. But
That's the ADD brain.
well, it's also, you know what? I'm also studying story, or I'm studying my favorite thing, and I'm bewildered by something that just exists and I don't know how they did it, and I love that I don't know how they did it.
Yeah,
And there's so many movies that fit into that category where it's this wonderful kind of combination of creativity and teamwork and how much money you have and how much time you have and all this crazy stuff. And at some point, you have to walk away from your painting and say it's done.
good.
David Mamet talks about in one of his books, he talks about an artist who's arrested for breaking into the Louvre museum and touching up their own painting. You know, sometimes you just have to walk away and
Yeah,
say
for
that
sure.
is the project. I could fuck with it all day long, but
Yeah.
I have to walk away.
Eventually, I mean, if you don't walk away, you're just going to be working on it forever because there's always something you could find to change.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. So, so again, last time we spoke, you were just getting ready to go out on the BabyKlok tour. BabyKlok tour's over. Now we're getting ready to roll into Mutilation on a spring night. I'm very excited. A matter of fact, I almost forgot to show you
Oh, holy shit.
right after we talked last time for my
Oh
birthday.
my God.
Yeah,
Oh, awesome. That's
it's
great.
pretty awesome.
That's
Um,
really cool.
I'm excited because Mutilation on a Spring Night is coming to where I am right now. Um, and we haven't had a lot of big concerts come our way until this recently, where we had like last year or the year before our arena got completed. So I'm definitely going to be there. So I want to hear, how did the tour come together?
Well, the BabyKlok tour was something that really worked out for everybody. We were really happy with how that came together. It was just morale was high from the world of baby metal and Dethklok and
Sure.
Jason Richardson also, who's just such a great opener. We were all really excited, and we thought, the question is there like a secondary market tour? That's what they call it, a secondary market tour where the primary markets are New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle. And they say like, but there are all these other places that haven't seen the tour and they can't get there. They can't, travel. So can
Yeah.
we travel to them? And so you'll see that some people are saying, I've seen online, they're like, how come you're not coming back to this one area they're at? But we already like we probably won't sell tickets there because they just saw us. So we have to go to these different places and take this show that we think is really cool, that we've been honing and honing and, build it out just a little bit extra, have a couple new bells and whistles, but not much, and then show it to everybody else and just really be like a traveling carnival and come to your town. So it's a big experiment. And we're gonna see how this one goes. But the idea is how much fun can we have on stage? With Baby Metal, they put on such a great show. We wanted to put on a show. We just basically every single night we wanted to throw down and give our best show, and so did Baby Metal. So it was really fun being able to kind of to try to outdo each other every single
Yeah.
night. It really is like it's the ultimate thing where you have two teams that really respect each other, trying to put on the ultimate show for the audience. And we thought with Nekrogoblikon and Dragonforce, there's so much fun inside of those bands. Can we kind of bring a little bit more fun, more of a kind of a party kind of atmosphere
Yeah.
to your town? Because the way I think of the Dethklok show is it should feel like a ride at like a Universal Studios, like an amusement
Sure.
park ride.
Yeah.
That's what I want the feeling. I want you to feel like you're getting something very spectacular. We have a live band. We brought in a gigantic television set, and we're going to show you something that you can't get from anybody else. And
Fantastic.
the energy is there with Dragonforce and Nekrogoblikon. Also, those bands celebrate guitar. I love guitar, so I'm always trying to celebrate guitar as much as I can. Nekrogoblikon, I also got to direct one of their music videos, so I have a
Oh,
connection with
that's
them
cool.
too. And Dragonforce, I've always been a fan of. It's bombastic and it's over the top, and so are we. So it all kind of comes together and makes sense to me.
That's cool. Yeah, before this tour, I hadn't heard much of Nekrogoblikon or Dragon Force, but I've been listening just to get familiar with and get ready for the concert, and I'm so stoked.
Yeah, it'll be really fun.
So, have you ever played with these guys before? How did you end up picking these guys to come with you?
I know, well, you get all these kind of I work with IAG, which is the agency that represents me as a writer, as a director, as an actor, but also under the Dethklok umbrella too. So we sit there and we sort out ideas, and they talk to like the Live Nations of the world, and they say, "What is the ultimate package?" And then they start showing me things, and I start saying, "Yeah, this makes sense more than that makes sense," or you start asking questions like, you know, when was the last time they toured in these areas too? In these markets, are they available? Seriously, it's all kind of like boring business marketing stuff, but you kind of like start to craft a really good option. And if we didn't have an option, I would not have done this tour at all. But I thought it was a really cool option to bring those two bands out with us. So yeah, I there were, there's always like bands you wish you could kind of work with, but something keeps you from making it work. But yeah, I mean, we had such a good time with Baby Metal that, you'll see inside of our tour, there are 2 nights in San Francisco where we're going to be
Yeah.
hanging out again. So for us, we just seriously, that whole crew was like from top to bottom was really cool to hang out with, and there was just a lot of mutual respect, and it was really fun to be these, in this traveling group of nomads with their traveling group of nomads on the road and doing something. So you'll see that we're back with Baby Metal on 2 important nights with Nekrogoblikon and DragonForce. So
Wow. That's awesome.
yeah, I just wish we could get Jason Richardson on that show, but I don't think it's going to work out. But yeah, so those are the ideas there. I mean, I don't want to sit here and list bands that couldn't do it, because what does that do for anybody?
Right.
But I'm always kind of throwing a pretty wide net, but also what are the bands that kind of share our enthusiasm for kind of entertainment? Is usually kind of the idea. I want people to come to a show and go, "That's one of the coolest shows I've ever been to." That's what I want people to say when they leave.
That's
And
awesome.
seriously, I just want people to have it's brutal, it's crazy, there's blood and explosions and animated just chaos, but I want people to really have a good time in a way that they can't anywhere else with any other band.
For sure. Well, I'm excited. May 1st is when you guys are going to be here in my town. So I'm very excited. There's a ton of metalheads that are super excited to see you guys. Usually we have
Where
to
where are you?
Idaho Falls.
Oh, Idaho Falls. Oh yeah, we need
Yeah.
to speak the word in Idaho. Yeah, that'll be very exciting because I don't think I've played there before.
When we really haven't had any, the closest that we've had is 4 hours away from where I am currently. So the fact that it's gone from 4 hours away to like 10 minutes is
Yeah.
exciting. So
Yeah. Well, that's
yeah,
good. So yeah, that's what I want to do is make sure that so some of these markets we haven't been to. So I really want to spread the word and make sure that people know that what they're in for, which is again, we're bringing a little bit of a Universal Studios death metal animated massacre to your town.
I'm excited and to see I'm crossing my fingers that I can see face bones in real life. I'm so excited. So, before we wrap up, are there any new projects after this coming out from you that you can talk about that we can share with the world?
The short answer is no. I am working
Okay.
on stuff, but I can't
Okay.
really talk about any of it because
Fair
of
enough.
it's so funny. I usually have some kind of another deal that I'm working, like some kind of other either movie or TV show or something, or some kind of a musical project. But truthfully, sometimes they don't reach the finish line in the world of entertainment, especially right now. It's such a strange time after
Sure.
the strike, after like all of these fears of AI and all that stuff. It's a strange time for the industry. So you never know what's going to cross the finish line.
Yeah.
I have some projects I really like a lot. I'm going to probably be taking a script for a project that I'm working on for more a feature idea
Oh,
on
nice.
the road with me. So when I'm not on stage or in sound checks or anything, I'll be probably typing away at my computer, working
Right
on a
on.
script. So that's something that I'm personally excited about. I have other projects outside of that, but different things in different kind of like in different kind of growths, I guess. One of them are just like little pods of ideas. Some of them are like finished things that may go to the next level, may not. And then yeah, so So I have a lot of stuff that I'm really excited about doing. Like I said before, the idea that I got to write and direct a movie was one of my bigger goals,
Yeah.
so I want to continue in that direction. But I also have, I love live action, I love animation. I'll probably find a way to make all that stuff work together, but feature stuff is where my head's at right now.
Right on. Well, we're excited. I'm excited to see it. I know there's going to be lots of other people that are going to be excited for what you do next, and we'll definitely keep it locked to find out where.
Oh, I'll say one other thing that I
Yeah.
just announced yesterday was that on April 5th, the movie Army of the Doomstar is going to be premiering on television for the first time on Adult
Oh,
Swim. So at midnight on April 5th, you'll be able to see Army of the Doomstar if you haven't seen it yet. On April 6th, it's going to be dropping on Max on um
nice.
on the app Max, and it will live there with the whole entire library of Metalocalypse stuff. So we're very excited about that. So the 5th it
Absolutely.
premieres on TV, 6th it drops on Max, and the 7th is our first show of this tour. So it all coincided nicely for this kind of spring mutilation tour.
Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
if you haven't already, if you're fans of Dethklok and the other bands that are mentioned, definitely go make sure you get your tickets coming to a town near you. Again, I'm very excited. May 1st. I'm super, super stoked to come and check you guys out. I can't wait to see you guys live.
I'm excited to come to Idaho Falls and see what it's like over there.
It's pretty quiet town, but it's awesome.
Very cool. Very
All
cool.
right, so last thing I wanted to ask before we go, is there any advice you'd give out there to up and coming creatives?
Yeah. Oh, geez. I mean, I have so much advice I can give to people. I just got finished talking to Musicians Institute here in Hollywood.
Okay.
And the whole thing is basically, I know that there are a lot of people out there like me asking, how do you get started? How do you get your foot in the door? And the way that I got noticed, being a guitar player who loves heavy metal, who loves all kinds of music, loves studying everything from fusion to country to, classical to jazz chord solos. I love all that stuff. But the thing that got me kind of noticed was that I thought it's tricky to have people. Nobody needs a guitar player. Everyone is a guitar player. So no one's really looking for a guitar player, really. I thought so I'm in competition with the entire world as a guitar player, but nobody's competing to be me. And I'm the only me that I can be. So when I started doing stand-up, I thought this is a very clear path to become kind of a writer of my stand-up, a director of my stand-up, the actor of my stand-up, and the producer, right? So
Yeah.
I thought no one's in competition with me. And at the time when I was starting to do stand-up, it wasn't like this comedy explosion where, there are 7,000 specials on Netflix every week. It was like we had the keys to the comedy club to ourselves, and we could just sit there and get stage time and develop our craft a little bit.
Sure.
But getting out there and getting where people are and and talking to people is a really important part of getting yourself kind of out there. So I think musicians in particular, we're really good at our guitar and we're not as good at communicating. So obviously you can communicate, you do a podcast and stuff. But I think for musicians, talking to people is really helpful all the time, getting out and finding out where music is being played or where comedy is being done or whatever, and letting your brain drag your body somewhere outside of your house and getting kind of like getting used to putting yourself on the spot and talking to people and introducing yourself to people. Stuff that I know that if you've got a podcast, that's part of your job. But I didn't know any of that stuff. And I was just a quiet shoegazer who was really nervous and uncomfortable in my own skin, walk down the street. What do I do with my hands? I don't know. And but ultimately I'd have to start kind of developing my personality, developing my communication skills. So I'd say get out of your house, develop your communication skill, because every one of my heroes, my musical heroes, is a really great communicator. From my guitar heroes to people in bands, they're all really good at expressing themselves in a way that is lets the rest of the room know where they're coming from,
Sure. Yeah.
and verbalize and communicate with a drummer, or verbalize and communicate with a lighting person, can look at the big picture of a show that they're doing live or animated or whatever, and chat with people and say, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for this. This is the art I'm pursuing right here. And the more you can kind of articulate that, I think the stronger you'll be as an artist.
That's great advice. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, talk to people all the
Yeah.
time. Talk to people will listen to you if you talk to them. If it's, if you're being reasonable and professional, people will listen. And if you respect people, they'll respect you back.
Yeah, and I appreciate the compliment of being able just to be personable because I used to not be very good at this.
No one's good at it.
I'm very awkward and I get in front of people and I get weird and I get
Sure.
shy. So it's really hard.
And it's the truth is that nobody cares if you feel shy or awkward. They understand that you're kind of there and you're putting yourself on the spot. It's no look, guitar taught me everything.
Sure.
Because if I knew that if I put time and knew what problems to solve on guitar, I would get better. The same thing is your body is a guitar, your person is a guitar. You can learn how to be better at anything, I think. And that's the idea is like you can be a better writer, you can be a better, everything sucks until you hone it into the right shape. That's just the truth of all art is that it sucks until you hone it, you work on it, and you correct the things that aren't so great.
It's never going to be perfect the first time. So don't be
Yeah,
afraid.
yeah, yeah.
Don't be afraid to mess up.
Yeah. I mean, and then also be afraid. It's okay. You're not going to ever not be afraid of things.
Yeah,
It's okay to just experience that feeling.
for sure. All right. Well, where can we keep up to date on stuff coming from you, concert dates, and all the new stuff that's coming out from you?
Well, you can check out any of the Metalocalypse sites, I think. I think at this point, we're kind of communicating through that. Through me personally, I'm on Instagram at Brendon Small, just my name, BrendonSmall. And same with Twitter, whatever it's called these days. You can see that like I don't go on as often as I used to,
Yeah,
but
me
when
neither.
I have some important information, I'll drop it like I did yesterday with the premiere on Max and the premiere on Adult Swim and all that.
That's
So
right.
so yeah, that's usually where I'm talking, and I'm just encourage people to spread the word because this is such a crazy show. The fan base is really strong, and we don't really have a huge marketing budget, so it's usually word of mouth how we kind of communicate with people, even with the tour and everything.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I'm a big fan on Instagram of you. I just love all the random shit that you post all the time. I'm a big fan.
Awesome, very cool, man.
All right, if you want to keep up to date with us, all these interviews, stuff like that, check out geek-network.com. You can find us on Twitter, whatever it's called now, and Instagram at GeeksAZ, Geek Network on Facebook. The podcast is Fueled by Weird on Instagram, Geek Network, yeah, on Facebook. Polygon Horizon does the music for this show. They're a great band. Go check them out on Bandcamp. Chris Chandler and Mike Belcher do the logos for the show. Go check them out. They're a couple of great guys. And if you like the show, like you said, please leave a review and tell your friends because word of mouth is our friend as well. And remember, kids, to embrace the things that fuel your weird and always geek responsibly. Brendan, thanks so much for coming today.
Thanks, man. Thanks for taking an interest.
Thank you.